Hello guys and welcome back. So the caching of both of these guys is done, and I have the source here and I have the leftover geometry doing the reverse of that. Cool. So let's do this. Let's update the sourcing using this new input here, and we don't have the normals anymore because I didn't sample them here, so we're gonna give that away at the moment. So let's connect these guys, and we're just missing the velocity at the moment, which is okay. So we don't need this, we're just gonna use it for visualization. And we have density and temperature. Let's dive inside. Let's lower this to 0.2. And velocity is not gonna do anything, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Let's go back, hit play, and there is our object. Now, why did it stop at that frame? It emitted the hand and then it stopped. Well, the reason for that is because we left the emission. It only works for 15 frames, so we're gonna update that. But it could also have been the bounding box not expanding correctly, and I'm gonna show you how to fix that correctly. So I'm gonna stop the emission after frame 60, after the object is fully filled. So I think, let's see, it's 58. Yeah, 50 looks good. So I'll do 50, and then what I'm going to do is, if, for example, the hand stayed like this for one frame, and then it added volumes afterward, the auto resize could have thought that we're only working here, and it will ignore everything else. So we're going to provide it our own data to resize, to respect while resizing. I'm going to take the density field that we isolated here just to keep it clean. I'm going to scatter 100 points, no need for relaxation. I'm going to add a bound node, and this will take any input geometry and fit the box the best way I think it needs to be placed. And I added some padding. I think it's too much. So let me copy these guys and paste relative reference here. And same for all these guys. Set it to 0.2. Let's remove that. Okay. I'm going to call this out bounce. Smoke bounce. Now here inside the gas resize, I can say track by object from SOPs and specify that, and we're in GO3, and now it will respect that no matter what happened in the sim. If there is a positive expansion, it will use that. Otherwise, it's going to respect what we've provided. See, his head is burning. That's what happens when you do a lot of sims in Houdini. Cool. Okay, so let's go back, and we have this now, which looks cool. Let's turn off the max vis so it's fast to work with. I'm gonna control click here to see the remaining of the geo. Let's change this to flat shaded, and let's hit play. And the character is getting eaten away, the geo is getting dissolved, and we're converting that into emission. Cool. So the last thing I want to do, it may not add to the sim too much, and I think the temperature is quite high at this point, so I'm going to set this to 200. And remember, we lost the all kinds of noise here, all kinds of velocity field we don't have that anymore, so we're going to lose some details. And I'm going to add this geometry, the leftover geometry, as a collision. And the easiest way to do that is using VDB. Now let me explain a few things. Now here, to add the collision geometry, we're going to use a static object. What Houdini is going to try is it needs to generate a volume representation, or an SDF, that it can collide with. Now the SDF methods inside this, if we go under collision tab, these are the methods that it uses to generate an SDF. Now let me, this is the geo. I'm going to copy this, smoke collision geo. Let's go back and show you, I will show you the limitation of this workflow. So collision geo, and if we go back to the first frame, you should see the statue. Cool. We can visualize what Houdini created as a collision for this, and if we click on the collision guide, see it made this very low res version that doesn't match the geo pretty well. We can increase this to 100, but this method is not very reliable. Now what we can do is we can change this to volume sample and provide our own. Let's go back up here, and I'm going to use the animated geo and generate an SDF out of it every frame. So VDB from polygon again, and this is the SDF I'm going to use. Yeah, the resolution is fine. We don't need super accurate details. So that's my SDF, and you see it's accurate and it doesn't take a lot of time to compute. So SDF, and now you see it's much more accurate. And I also use deforming geometry, so it keeps the geometry updating. And to see better the collision, I'm going to flip the buoyancy and give it -5, so that the smoke, instead of going up, it goes down, so that we get to see the intersection. Let's turn this off. Let's check. Let's view the result with gravity on. Cool. So that's dissipating. The smoke is going down now. See that collision? That's because the buoyancy is quite high. I'm not sure why it's going up though. Maybe it's bouncing from the geometry. Could be. With some lighting, this could look really cool, illuminating the geo and everything. I think we can get something very cool out of this. And we can also go back to the volume generation, make sure to add sample the velocity from the surface, so we don't lose that, like we did with the main source. Okay, let's go back up. And I don't need to change anything to the sourcing because I'm not going to import the statue. I only need the density field and the temperature. Let's lower this to 2. Turn on max viz. I'm going to control click on the geo to view it. I mean, it's gone after frame 60. But yeah, let's do test. And it's going to stop after frame 50. We'll see everything go away. Yeah, this is definitely the collision causing that. Cool. So that's one use of the SDF to create some cool emission and dissolving like that. And I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna lower this velocity. I'm gonna delete this in case there is velocity. I'm gonna lower this to the buoyancy to -1. And the friction under the collision, I'm gonna lower the friction in case this is what's causing that. And I'm going to increase the resolution of this to 0.08 and let it run, and then we'll continue in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.